I never really kept a different persona. Like I don't, because it's like if someone wants to figure out who I am on the internet, they're going to figure out who I am. But also, it gives me an opportunity to be like, no, I'm. This is me standing next to this. This is not a character standing next to this. Um, and like there have been a couple of times on my channel that I've been like, because I'm not wearing it now, but on my channel I wear a hat. You've seen the videos. My audience lovingly refers to it as the conversation hat, because if they see me, that means I'm talking to them directly. And there have been several times it's like I take the hat off. This is me talking. Like this is, and that's why I didn't wear it now. It's like this is me talking. That it's because there's one thing I've learned on the internet. It's really easy to hide behind a level of anonymity. And so, like, the second I put my face out there, I was just like, no, the second you can see me, people are going to figure out who I am if they want to. And I'm not going to try to hide that. I'm not going to try to say, oh, no, this is not me. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna try to deny anything. And by the same token, it's like, okay, anything I went into this knowing anything that I say and do is gonna live on the internet forever. So I had a very early option to be like, I can say and do things that might I was aiming for entertaining, but I had to be very cognizant to not make it at the expense of anyone else. And so like that's why I've especially when I got into game journalism and I got out of game journalism because of a lot of the controversies that were hitting at that time. It's like I will anything that I say I will stand by. So like I'm not gonna like I try to be very cognizant that in like 10 years someone's not going to pull up like one of my cringy tweets and be like, see, he was terrible. It's like, no, I was cringy at best, but not racist, sexist, or anything like that. Just maybe terrible jokes is the goal. But like I've always tried to make it realize that I go by MarauderEX, but everyone knows I'm Chris Stallings. Like that's who I am, and I like anything I say is one of the other. Like they're me. I'm going to stand by it. Which is another reason why I wanted to do this now is that we're in a more politically harsh climate, and you know Jess, who's on my channel, on my live streams with me regularly. Jess is very much an influence in my life. That is like, thanks to Jess, I live in a very it's a quiet neighborhood, but there are very few white people in this neighborhood. It's mostly Hispanic, Black, like the anytime that there's a police presence now, my default reaction because of Jess is I'm going to stand out and I'm going to watch them and I'm going to have a camera ready just in case, because you never know, and it's far more likely that they're going to get hassled simply because they are of color. So like these are things that like, no, if I'm I'm going to stand by this now, I'm going to stand by it with my name and my uh, uh, principles, as you said. Like it's a core value. If I'm going to make it a core value, it's going to be me. But I've also made no secret on my channel. I have banned people for even light racist remarks. Like there have been so many people who've popped up in chat that have said something like, "Nope, that is unacceptable. You were gone." Like there's no. I early on I went with the I'm not going to give warnings to people. It's just no, I'm not going to give you space on my platform to espouse hate. Because I know for the most part, it's like it's text on a chat window. It's that anonymity. This is a little different because you've got the person's voice at the very least. You've got their voice, and a lot of people wouldn't say some of the things out loud that they would say on the internet on, text chat or forums or whatnot. But like at the same point, I don't feel comfortable giving them space on my platform, mostly because I don't want people to be like, oh no, he's letting someone spout racial epithets on his chat. He's okay with it, because I'm very much not. And so it's like it's a no. I'm just gonna cut that off at the start rather than the concern of like give them an inch, they take a mile, because like I don't want to be like, okay, stop saying that, and then they say that, and then they say something worse, and then that alienates the rest of my audience. Because I learned very quickly in this internet landscape from both my channel and the gaming industry, it is so much easier to become infamous than famous. Like, I could very easily just be like, I could become a right-wing talking head and instantly find an audience that's not a great audience, but they would support, and they do very quickly, very easily, because you hate the right people versus not hating people based off of a very weak criteria like age, sex, race, etc. Like one of those things, and just it's much harder to build that, and that's why I'm so very much impressed with what it is you do here, because you do like I went back and watched a lot of the stuff that I've missed over the last year, and I watched a lot of your stuff early on after helping you get set up, and it's like you don't make people feel guilty, you don't make them feel unwelcome. And I know so many people that are like, yeah, I don't want to talk about race because I don't want to be made to feel guilty for being born white. Like, that's not what anyone's trying to make you do. They're just trying to make you aware of it, that you have a privilege that they don't. It's not that you're meant to be guilty for being white.
And not just that, not that they have a privilege that I don't, but also that we actually share a burden. That burden isn't equally distributed, for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But we actually do share that burden. They just don't even know that they're carrying the weight, So I try to remember that. I have to, in order to do the work that I'm doing, right? Because it's reality. In reality, a lot of people just don't even have the first clue of what world they're living in. And you just have to remember, any one of us could be an agent. Right?
Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Welcome to Rivendell. No, because I've had friends that I've gotten into arguments with, and I've had family, because I have family members that again, West Virginia, poor, white. It's a very rural area. They're like, oh, I had so much privilege because I was white. It's like, it's not because you're white. There are things that you don't have to deal with simply because you're not black or Hispanic or Asian. Like there are things that you just don't have to deal with. Like one of my relatives was like, oh yeah, I've never had a problem with the police. Yeah, I've never really had a problem with the police either, but I know so many people who have, simply because their skin color or their orientation, and that just puts them at a, like you said, it's a burden that they carry that I don't necessarily have to.
Yeah, we had somebody another former Jordan alumnus who is a convicted felon. And he came on as an anonymous guest, and he's a racialized white man, and he talked about seeing the disparities from inside the system as he was going through, you know, and just seeing how he was treated versus other people, you know, for the same or lesser crimes. So it's it's a real thing, and it only becomes real to people right when they see it. You have to be in the right situation, right? It's all about perspective, like we talked about. Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour-long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support, and see you next time.